Hey, sometimes it takes government sending us to our rooms like we're children
Hmm.
for family to come together.
Yeah, yeah, real talk, real talk. And take it the situations to get extreme and dire, and the circumstances to be at a heightened level for people to, I guess, come to awareness of like, how critical it is to be around family or just, be thoughtful of the loved ones. You know what I mean? But that's what it really
Right.
comes down to. We need to be more thoughtful of one another on a daily basis, aside from crises and pandemics and things of this nature. You know what I mean? We need to establish a way that we're always thoughtful of mindful of each other every day. You know what I mean? But it's sad that it takes these times to bring that realization into the people. But that's what happened when you play with these type of governments that we have today that send out all the different type of divisive propaganda. So, even with the coronavirus, people are here, there, and everywhere based on what to believe, what not to believe, what to, do. It's just kind of confusing right now. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's confusing. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. People are scared, running crazy, running from viruses and police officers and National Guards and the China people trying to get some people and the Russian people trying to get the other people. Everybody losing their damn mind, Chris. I think I had to talk to you. We haven't talked in a minute.
We haven't. Everybody's losing their damn mind as if they had their minds before, and it's like,
Oh,
this is I don't want to say this is something like a backbreaker, but this is something like a backbreaker for our current state of society because at a time where it was so much corruption, so much crooked stuff going on already, now we're at a time where everybody's being organized around the need to be afraid and rely on the same entities that we've known for quite a while now have been deceiving and lying to us, And this is, I mean, the government agencies and this the likes of that matter, mega corporations or whatever the case is. But this is a time where we need to be organized around good information. You know what I mean? Not just information that comes from being afraid or seeing other people being afraid or, you know, the need to be more cautious about this and that. We need to be cautious about many, many more matters than just this current phase of what's going on right now.
yeah. Well, that's why I like it, man. I'm good to go. My phone been ringing off the hook. People calling me like, yeah, well, Gerard, he that conspiracy theorist. He might know what's going on. You know what's going on. I'm like, hey,
Right,
listen.
right.
I've been telling y'all for a long time, bro. Some food, get your C's, get your strong game together, build your immune system up. These jokers are planning something, right? They've been like you said, they've been planning this a long time. And
Right.
everybody, whether it's Illuminati, aliens, central bankers, pharmaceutical companies, well, it doesn't even matter. The point is, when the family's divided, the predator's going to prey on us.
Yeah.
Like you talked about, we have a conflict-based society. And as long as you got a conflict-based society, you will have conflict at the top, the middle, and the bottom and underneath. And so I'm not, and that's why I get down. I say, I'm not one to blame government. The government is a representation of us. If you're fighting with your neighbor because their grass is too tall, then the government is supposed to kill you. That's how it works.
Right.
You know, if you're fighting with, you know, your brother and sister in your house, y'all hadn't spoken years because something happened at Christmas or somebody said this and blah, 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 blah. Then guess what? We're supposed to be fighting with China. Government is a representation of us. If we ain't got no damn sense, then government ain't supposed to have no sense.
You always making it make sense, man. Listen, you always making it make sense, bro. And this is where it gets funny at. You know what I mean? Because people act like on a daily basis they're not going through their own political strife on the lower levels with their own personal lives. You know what I mean? So on that microscopic level, see these microscopic political indifference, or these battles we face with our family, with our friends, or co-workers, or likes thereof. We do this every day. And guess what? We hate each other over it.
Yeah, love to hate each other. Love it. Can I get some?
If we do this every day and we're a representation of our government, so to say, why wouldn't the American government be doing this with China, Iran, whatever other countries you can name out there around the world right now? Because this is a representation of us on the microscopic level. So when it comes to the governments and how they do things, it's just us. It's like we're looking in the mirror. And now all of a sudden we look in the mirror and we say, oh my God, this is so hard. This is so horrible. How could they be such? It's not my government. Not my government couldn't do that. My government wouldn't lie to you. Well, guess what? Your significant other will lie to you. Your children, your brothers and sisters and all that, they will lie to you. It's just a reality of the life that we live in right now in society. You know what I mean?
See, I know what you mean. This is why I love the live streaming family. This is why I love it, because common sense is like prevailing in live streams. Like, we don't always agree, but what's going on, Carter? What's up, man? I can't hear him. But that, you know what? So, I lost my train of thought. Because the thing is, the kids, they always mess me up.
Yeah, the kids is cracking everything.
See, this is the point why we're here, right? This is the point why we're here. So, to go back, when I look at what government is doing, I really ain't got nothing to say. That's why I love the live stream community, right? Because we, for the most part, we tend to talk more from a principle perspective, the common man perspective. And from that common man, common woman perspective is, if we're in conflict with each other over grades and degrees, what I got to say about government being in conflict over China and Russia and central banking and whatever, I'm upset because they're better at doing what I want to do. So I'm mad at Bill Gates because he's in the position I want to be, driving boats and cars and own island and pharmaceutical industries. And so I'm upset with this cat because at the principal level, he's just succeeding at what most people would be happy to succeed at. So I don't have any conflicts on that level. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I like people here, because I'm being educated on a daily basis. And it's important. It's important to be humbled on a daily basis and look at the different levels of conflict and realize how, we really do just want to eat the rich. The vast majority of us don't have any problem with the rich other than we ain't the rich.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that, because, we're this is balance. People are for, people are against, people are neutral. And it's just the numbers are all over the place, But I wanted to say a comment by Tiana. She says that I guess she was talking about the fact that, we can't blame government. She says that's an unfair statement. We have been brainwashed, poisoned, conditioned by the government. It's not a fair fight. And to her point, I agree with that. We have been brainwashed from elementary, secondary, and so on, post-education or whatever the case is. But at some point in time, the evidence has always been right there in front of our faces when we've grown into the age to actually pay attention and become more aware on our own right. You know what I mean? So it's like individually, we have to step up into the calling of, using the new information and our new heightened awareness to our abilities and activities that we do now. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not a fair fight. It's never going to be a fair fight, because you're talking about billionaires organized with other billionaires. And then as such Brother G was saying, you're talking about families being divided within the families and the political strifes and, the distancing of brothers away from sisters and mothers away from daughters, and the likes thereof is representative of how our government carries on. So we have to do better on the individual level. All right, get out here, Carter. Get out here.
Absolutely. I'm gonna pull a tie. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pull a tie. I'm gonna call it a tie.
What's up, Ty? What's up, Ty?
Because Ty
all good.
Yeah, Ty and I disagree on this whole Q thing. But Ty, Ty is the one that taught me not to give a damn. I gave too much of a damn till I met Ty. And Ty is the one who taught me how to laugh a lot of this nonsense off. So I'm going to pull a tie on Tiana's statement, in which I agree with her. But I'm going to flip it a little bit and say that, it's not fair, but life isn't fair. Yeah. Right? Life is not fair at all. And is it cool? Nope, not cool at all. But as long as you have people who are born in conflict-based societies that got billions and billions of dollars and own banks and country clubs and pentagons and all that, we are always going to suffer from what we do on our level, right? So it's not fair, but what we can do is flip the script on them. And right, when we start taking care of each other, which is, well, actually, I think Ty just said it right here. Ty just said it right here. Let me pull that comment up. When we fight, but we are still here for each other. If we are here for each other, they can't do nothing to us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna invoke a Carter Bugs Life. Is it Bugs Life or Ants? The movie where the cockroaches got together and
Bugs
took
Life,
out
man. Bugs Life. Yeah.
It's Bugs Life, but they all got together.
Yeah.
Right. So the thing is, it's unfair for them. See, we don't use our weapon. Our weapon is we got each other. And we don't like to do that because we want to argue over Q. We want to argue over Democrats. We want to argue over Republicans.
They
and
still arguing over Q though?
But I'm not. I'm not. I
know people are still following after Q.
I don't even know if I don't know if Tony is and Ty. I don't even know where people are at nowadays. But the bottom line, though,
Q anon, because I know is anonymous connected with Q, or is it separated, or is it connected? Because I know people saying Q anon and stuff. And it's like, man, this is why the conspiracy theorists get looked at so bad, you know, because they're all broken down into these little groups and such, to where the commoner is looking like, I can't. No, these people are crazy. No, those people, they're all crazy. No. I'll just my organized media pundits instead. You know what I mean? So it's like,
let me do something though. Brother Tony's there too. Oh, they probably gonna get going. I don't know, but I'm listening. I'm gonna do this. Because I don't believe Q, but I will say this: I believe in the people who believe in Q.
Okay. Right? Okay. Yes.
So
yeah. Just like voting.
It's like voting, right? So I don't believe no damn Democrats, but I believe in the people who believe in the Democrats. I don't believe in Republicans, but I believe in the people. So I'm gonna pull out from that perspective. So I think most people really aren't like in arguing with each other. They're arguing with their ideas on how do we fix this nonsense.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, I think some people are still arguing. I don't think Tony and Ty are arguing. I don't think Tony and Ty give two damns. I know both of them. Both at the end of what you consider to be an argument, they have moved on and they are doing other things in life. So
yeah, but that's what always happens. You know, people argue about stuff, but people move on. You know what I mean? But the thing is, what are they moving on to? You know, and a lot of people argue, fuss, and fight about the political issues or social issues or whatever the case is, but then they move on to act with the same governments that are, you know, creating a lot of these issues. You know what I mean? And we need to grow into more habits of acting in unison. You know what I mean? Aligned with certain causes or just a certain purpose. It doesn't have to be over my desires or your desires, but it has to be a common purpose for the betterment of not only our collective community, but, you know, the future communities that come after us. You know what I mean? Because right now, as you can see with the whole coronavirus thing, you have entire groups of different groups of communities here, there, and everywhere that are normally divided over political issues. You know, so it's Republican or Democrat, black or white, race, interracial, interrace segregation, KKK, all these different groups that are divided over all these different things, economics, poor, rich, and all these different things. But guess what? They're united around the same cause of trusting the government. You know what I mean? Oh, we have to trust the government because we're afraid, because we're not organized enough to have information outlets that are sincere, you know, in the manner where they want to give us information, not to make us afraid, but to prepare us and to have us informed in a way that we can take care of each other better. You know what I mean? Because right now we don't seek to take care of each other we only take care of each other based on the status quo standard of, I guess, what you see in the mainstream society. You know what I mean? Aside, this is not like, different families do different things. You know, certain families love this way, certain families love that way. But in the family setting, we need that to grow out to the collective setting of the people. You know what I mean? We need people to express that same love and that same value that they have for their brothers, their sisters, and their mothers and fathers. We need people to have that same value for everyone else out here in life. You know what I mean? Because we've devalued one another based on these political issues and social issues. And in turn, the government has capitalized off of that, you know, because once the divided people are divided, you can be conquered, you know, because it's a war. We're in a continuous war, unfortunately, and war is about numbers, you know, or numbers or resources. If you don't have the resources, you need the numbers. And right now we have the numbers, but not organized manner, you know what I mean? Because the rich and wealthy have the resources, you know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's that grown up adult stuff that people don't want to do. It's called disagree, walk away, move on to the next topic. Like within the family, you got to know how to argue, but we still on the same team. We ain't got to agree on nothing.
Yeah.
But we still. You remember? I keep going back to that Ty, the voting one we did with Ty, and I'm trying to remember who it was. Me, you, and Ty, or you, Ty, and me. That's my narcissism kicking in.
Okay.
And I was still going to vote. I was still on the vote thing. Y'all were like, nah, man, you need to let that go.
Right. I guess you were saying, and I would say Ron Paul or third party Green or somebody was running.
Yeah, I was thinking with people without militaries and money and central banks could take on people with militaries and money and central banks. And this is what I'm saying, that we can educate each other. We can learn from each other if we are humble enough to do so. But let me ask you a question.
Okay.
What's going on in Philly, man? What's this thing in Philly where you got black and white cops pulling people off of buses sounding like Rosa Parks? What did you hear about that?
No, I don't watch mainstream media, but it's like I hear it through family and stuff like that. But being in Philly is kind of scary. You know what I mean? I've been in Philly at night. Oh my God, it's deserted. It's like, yo, nobody's out. People are really staying home, and it's scary. It feels like the streets, there's no traffic on the streets. Like, what the hell is going on? I'm scared. It's like, oh my God, what has happened? You know what I mean? I'm about activity. You know what I mean? I'm not seeing people in the streets. It's bustling, hustling, and a lot of things going on. And it's like, man, this is sad, you know? And then it's like, also, y'all, don't forget about the homeless population because they're out there still. You know what I mean? The homeless people are still out there, and ain't nobody worried about them for real because they're, you know, it's not like I'm going to say too many people was worried about them before, but now ain't nobody really, I mean, except for the organizations that are on the ground doing the good work. Shout out to all these different organizations in Philly that are working now. But it's like, man, what happened to us? You know what I mean?
They don't even care. Like the ignorance of a statement that a government will tell you to stay at home and they don't even guarantee people homes. Blows my mind. Like that should just be like boom to anybody. They literally tell you to stay home and they don't even provide you the land to stay home. And they stole the land to begin with. It wasn't even their land. They murdered, killed, raped, and stole it from other people. And then kids are born here and they don't have a right to have land, but they can put out a mandate that everybody has to stay home. This is what I'm saying. On all levels, everybody sells out. This is Rome, baby. This is Babylon. Everybody here.
This is Babylon with technology.
Babylon had a heart.
This is beyond Babylon, man, because it's like this is all really at the end of the day, it's just all about money. You know what I mean? Money and resources. At this time, with the system we're dealing with, is about money. And it's like, all right, are we going to find a way to organize and, you know, create different systems or different operations or different ways of exchanging goods or something, or we're going to be subjected to the way that the government does it? And right now, we're just going to be subjected to the way government does it because right now, stay at home. So small businesses, you know, they can open back up, but a lot of them have taken a hit to where they're ineffective at this time, you know, because they need activity. They need people to come and be a part. And they're in transition to the technological phase, you know, because this is where we're going to the digital authoritarian society, whatever the case is. And a lot of people haven't been keeping up. So that creates an imbalance, right? That we already have an economic imbalance. We have an educational imbalance. Now we're going to have a technological imbalance, you know, and people are going to get left behind. You know what I mean? Because they're relying on the same people that are leaving people behind.
And that's the intent. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what's going on. It matters what does this look like on the other side. On the other side of this, you do not have a middle class. We may not have a middle class right now. Like they're already talking about, you know, the unemployment's beyond what it was at the Great Depression.
Yeah.
Most people are sitting around in their house waiting for their government to tell them what to do. And at this point in time, when your government starts ordering tanks to be on the street, when they start ordering National Guard, they're telling you that, hey, we have bigger issues that we need to worry about. You need to worry about yourself. And so people need to start solving their own problems within. But we're on the other side of this. Normality is not coming back. Most of my friends are sitting around like, yeah, well, we're gonna wait till this just abates, and we're gonna get stuff back to normal.
Things going back to normal. It's gonna go back to normal.
You know, every now and then I get a pop up, and I'll click on something. I avoid the mainstream media, but every now and then I'll bite into a piece of it. And I hear the same narrative. It's like, yeah, well, we're gonna get things back online. We're gonna get things back to normal. And I'm just like, you know what? You know, you weren't born during the Depression, were you? You have no idea that. I remember my grandfather was telling me stories about the Great Depression.
Okay.
He said there was a lady down the street cooking meat with Vaseline that they couldn't even get fat. Like they didn't have any food, and
it was real.
Right? Like people were starving. Like people were starving before this began. People were hungry before this began. People were in an apocalypse and on shutdowns
before it began. Yeah.
And we've been here for 3 weeks. And you think we're gonna come to the other side of this? You're gonna click a button and things are gonna start going again?
Yeah, not happening. Not happening.
It's not. I mean, the food chain, the food supply is shutting down, right? Because you have a whole chain of people being brought in the country, the migrant workers, to pick the strawberries and to pick the onions. They're not coming in. Nobody's going into work. People are getting sick.
The chickens is sold out. The meat is the beef, the chickens, the eggs. If everything's sold, think about this. If everything is sold out everywhere, where's the supply going to come from?
Right.
And the thing is, the system can go into utter chaos just from simple the food standing, because if everybody is such in a rush and afraid and they have to get the food right now in a inconsiderate manner, I guess you could say, because you don't need so much to survive off of, but people buy up more shit than they need because they think it's going to be, I'm gonna be in the house this long, and they're taking from other people. You know what I mean? So now when the supply is not there, guess what? There's going to be so much demand and it's going to cause chaos, because the chickens, who's birthing all the chickens in this rate of speed that the people are buying up all the shelves? Who's making up all the cows? You know what I mean? You can't just birth cows on you can't snap your finger and tell the cow to have babies and you snap your finger, hey, your farmers, you need to have more cow, we need more cow, and it's like, we have to come to some type of calm, before we can actually have the critical thought patterns to have solutions. You know what I mean? We need calm first, and we don't get calm with chaos. You know what I mean? Because in the midst of chaos, everything going on around you is chaotic in a way. You have people that are life essential, the people that are not life essential have to stay home. And I don't want to say they're being devalued, but in the long run, they're being devalued. You know what I mean? Because what the system is saying is, we don't really need you to continue on. Of course, the system can't continue on in this manner. The markets and stuff like that will break. Capitalism will take a severe hit. But in the long run, you can be replaced. Right. You know what I mean? You can be replaced, or your job doesn't matter. If some people got them jobs where they could work at home. Teachers. Think about the teachers. They're doing video class now. Video classes, and they don't have to go into school and interact and engage with the students. And a lot of teachers like it, but it's causing a disconnect in the learning atmosphere. You know what I mean? So now it's not going to be any normalcy for students, perhaps. Because we don't know how long this is going to go on for students and education. Even though I have different thoughts about the education system.
You know what? But you're hitting on something I was thinking about earlier today, which is, we are literally, first of all, government sent us to our room like we were petulant child, which I'm loving saying right now. But we are divided. Like there was somebody posted something talking about how we can't get together, right? So you can't interact with each other outside of a controlled means, right? So they see everything. Everything is electronic. Everything is digital. Everything is recorded. Everything is to a degree controlled, to a degree.
On the grid.
So, and so this is, the way that you control a population is you control their interactions. And right now, we are 100% reliant on digital conversation and information. So if you post something on social media, and this is a good example because we're all seeing it, and it's close to what they don't want being shared amongst the populace, it's gone. They delete it. They get rid of it. And so and I'm not saying stay in your house. I'm not saying leave your house. I'm not saying defy. I'm saying everybody's got to kind of make up their own little decision on what they want to do. But the fact that we are locked in our house, and most people agree with that, that puts us in the worst, most vulnerable position the human race has ever been in.
Ever been in for not to be slavery or whatever the case is, because it's like this. And I don't want to keep saying we're in wartime, but we're always at war with different types of operations or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? Personally, collectively, and whatever the case is. And racially, all different types of things, because they created so many types of divisions. So we're all at war. But being stationary is the worst thing that you could do in situations like this. Being predictable is the worst thing you can do in situations like this, because what they want, I don't want to keep saying they, but the directors of all this chaos, I should say, because nobody can pinpoint who these people are or who the organized group is, because it's well beyond our informational reach, I should say, to direct at who these people are, but when you have the enemy of the state isolated, you can do damn near whatever the hell you want against that enemy. You know what I mean? It's like putting the enemy into a corner. Oh, we got these people into a corner, but it's the public now that's into a corner. We are the people that are the enemy of the state. Because if we were to come together, we could possibly abolish this type of government and create something new, but people don't have that type of thought in this day and age because they believe in the systems that are in place. But we could do different things like food sustainability to where we don't have to be reliant on the markets being empty of all of our favorite goods and this and that, because we've created new habits to where we're connected to the collective community. It's not just my favorite. They believe in this like I believe in it, so I like this group of people, and this is who I want to spend all my time around because it makes me happy. I'm happy because these people are just like me, and I'm happy because they share the same thoughts as me, and they're not challenging anything I think. So I'm happy. So we got all this fake happiness going around when we're supposed to be happy with all the type of thoughts that are out there, even if it's dysfunctional and everything, because that's, like we said earlier, that's us. The government is representative of who we are. So when we look into the people out there and say, oh, they crazy, these mother effers is crazy, they believe in this and they believe in that, oh my God, they crazy. That's us. We're crazy. You know what I mean? Because
we are crazy.
We're a part of it all. You know what I mean?
I want to expand on that. We are at war. We've always been at war. War was a birth. When we were born, we were in conflict. The doctor smacked you as soon as you got here. I've been fighting the day since I got here, ever since, because human beings want to be free. I want to be free. Ain't none of us free. We've never been free. We've always been at war. I think our problem is we don't agree who we're at war with.
Right.
I think that's the problem. And
that's true.
And so, because you got some people war with the immigrants, other people war with black folk, other people war with Russia, the others are war with the Democrats, war with China. Right. And so if you're never focusing on the clear and present danger, you've already lost the war. Like, you don't even know who the enemy is. You don't know how to attack it. You don't know how to avoid. You don't know if you're fighting on its side or against somebody else. And I think that's our first issue is people are sitting in their house because they don't know what the enemy is. Right now, half the people think the enemy is a virus. No, most of the people think the enemy is a virus. And they think the enemy is Lucy coming to get them. And so
I had to go out like this today.
Right.
I had to go out like this to get into the damn store. I'm like, hold on, I need a mask to get it. I can't come in without the mask on. Dang, it's getting crazy now.
They threw the brother off the bus because he didn't have a mask. That's why they did. And I'm like putting pieces of information together. And I try to keep my mouth shut till I'm able to process kind of what's going on. And I'm gonna tell you this, and this is gonna be unpopular. I don't care what people think. I ain't no way in hell I'm buying a mask. You can go all the way to hell. I'm not buying it. I'm gonna tell you why I'm not buying it. Because you got senior citizens sitting in care facilities that don't have masks.
Right.
So I completely disagree with the concept of you got grown and young folks that can buy fruits and vegetables, eat like they ain't no damn food, get rid of the processed food, potato chips, Cinnabons, all that stuff they get at the mall, keeping masks off of shelves so senior citizens who are in lockdown can't even get to them. No, I'm sorry. Hang on, I'm about to flip a little minute, just for a minute. Give me a minute, just because I get pissed off, right? Because you mean to tell me you're going to shame me because I'm not wearing a mask, and you keeping masks from children and old folk? You can go all the way to hell. I'm so sick of this government. I am the government. I get that. I'm not going on that. I'm just saying you're not going to shame me. I'm going to shame you. Shame on you. Yeah. Because you know what? I appreciate the people. The people, they got these bottles. They got the bottled water.
Yeah.
And they put them over their head, got breathing devices and maxi pads.
Ventilators.
I appreciate them. I appreciate all of them. I love y'all to death. I appreciate the people with the masks like you. Pull it over
the resources around.
You're allowing people with immune challenges, disease, chronic illnesses, and senior citizens a chance to have a mask. If you are between the ages of 21 and 55, and you were in the grocery store with a mask, shame on you. Shame on you. You ain't respecting your elders.
Shame on you. You ain't respecting them damn elders, kids. You know what I mean? You got the kids and the elders the most susceptible to all this craziness. You know, and you taking the mask. Oh, I need a mask. Oh, I don't just need a mask. I'm gonna buy all the masks up. I need all of them. It's like, yo, what are we doing? But this is also another thing that's funny because it's like the rules are being dictated. The rules aren't being discussed and, you know, communicated about by the people. The rules are being dictated, you know, and people are following them. This is where it gets scary when people just start following rules without thinking critically about what's going on around them, but not only critical, but having a lot of people don't have the information to be critical enough at these times because a lot of people don't go underneath beyond the surface. You know how you got to dig a little bit because the mainstream media is the surface. You know how you see the stuff on the surface and it looks all beautiful and glitz and glamour and everything this is everything I need. You know, underneath the surface is where the real information is at. You know what I mean? And people don't really go on the internet. People don't go deep enough to really have a critical thought process about the things that are going on. And when they turn on the TV, you're not going to have really any outlets at all to give you information that's going to help you think critical. It's going to put you in a state of fear. It wants you to be in a state of fear because when you're in a state of fear, guess what? You don't think critical. And when you don't think critical, you're not really in a state of mind to be connected to the core of, I don't want to just say love, but the core of your godlike ability to understand and process the things going on around you with clarity. You know, and that's what we need right now. We need millions and millions of people to process the things going on around them with clarity. And you're not going to get that from mainstream media. You're not going to get that from these politicians that are, you know, the politicians are coming on TV, the governors and the mayors are like, oh, yeah, we're going to give you an update about the coronavirus. Oh, we're giving you an update. Giving updates. Everybody want to get an update like as if they're strong leaders. And these are not strong leaders because the other 360 days out the year, they're talking about the need to be divided from the Republican and Democrat financially, politically, and all these other different aspects of the operations that we have in a way that separates us as a people. And we need to be connected based on information sake. We need to be connected. You know what I mean? When it comes to information, we need to be connected in the way that we've never been connected before. But when people are diverted away from doing that, the diversions start when they turn on that TV. You know, because when you turn on the TV, you start, oh, I need a mask. I'm gonna buy the mask. And you see the pictures in the water going, all the water and the tissue going, oh, I gotta buy up all the tissue paper because everybody buying tissue. Who gonna get the tissue first? Well, they're gonna re-up, we're gonna wait for tissue. And it's like, who's buying up all the fruits and vegetables? You don't see the fruits and vegetables going, you know, but I thought this was about our health. I thought this is about the wellness and the well-being, but people are talking about all the need to be scared here and scared there, but they're not doing the right things to prevent themselves from becoming sick, or they're not doing the right things to teach others how to prevent. They're saying, listen to the government and wear a mask. But like you said, but then they're throwing honey buns in their cart. They throwing the bioengineered food in their cart. The hey, did you like this cereal? Oh, I'm gonna give you this bioengineered cereal that they made in the lab. But I'm telling you that you can stay safe and care about your immunity.
Right. You know what my big problem is when it comes to one is because I think what's driving a lot of the ignorance right now is, like you said, it's fear and it's hero worship. And my big problems is I don't have any fear because I'm like, y'all can all go to hell. That's kind of my general stance on everything. I think I'm wave energy. I'm not really even here. I'm like a spiritual godlike creature. I'm here watching the 98% Monkey Show. I'm not really interested in joining in. And two, I don't have a master. Like, so, because that is why I've watched about maybe 10 minutes of virus coverage. I really don't care about flu season. I'm worried about the economy being a collapse. I'm worried about going back to the 1920s and the middle class completely being eviscerated, but I don't have a master. So why would I turn on the TV? Because what's happening is whoever your favorite master is, you're like, okay, this is my master. I'm on this political party to this side. This is my, and when they get out there and they start trying to tell you, okay, well, you need to stay at home. You need to be 6 foot distance. You need to wear a mask. You shouldn't go to work. You need to give up your business. You need to shut down. And they're just jumping for it. Oh, what's the problem? Trump caused the problem. Oh, what's the problem? Trump going to save everybody from the problem. And I'm just like, man, I feel like I'm on a slave plantation. And I'm like watching all the slaves trying to, and then outside of that, returning to normal. Why does anybody with a common piece of sense, a sentient bone anywhere in their body want to return to American Babylonian banker, Rothschild, Zionist, whatever you want to call it, empire back to normal. An empire that shoots children in the street, white and black, trailer park and ghetto. An empire that blows up other nations and steals every damn resource they got. A nation with a black market called Wall Street, where everything is stolen, every last damn thing, and they work for them, they buy it, and it's just like, why do you want to return that to normal? That thing needs to burn the hell up. We need to make it nitrates out of it, put it in the garden, grow some tomatoes and peppers, and build a society that's based in a piece of common damn sense anywhere. That's why I don't watch any of the news coverage, because I don't give a damn two dams about what any of the slaves or their masters think. I have a brain in my head. I critically think, and it boggles my mind. But I think that's what it is. One is they're scaring people with the damn virus, right? To go out and get a shot like the Tuskegee experiment wasn't a real thing. And two is they got masters. And so whatever your master says, right now you got people out there yelling and screaming in the streets. Well, no, in their house. Never mind, take that back. Yelling and screaming in the hall. You know, about racism. And I gotta say this. I do gotta say this. And I'm over talking. I'm trying to do my 5-minute thing, but I'm a little pissed off with this, because we gotta stop being so stupid. Right. So the black codes were a thing. And part of me is I'm part hippie. I'm part of a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm watching the new in on the block. And you know who the new in on the block? It's the person who wants to be organic, natural, their body works, their immune system's functioning. You're going to have what's called a hippie code, black code, same damn thing. You're going to get that RFID chip. You got to get your vaccine. If you don't have that, you can't apply for a driver's license. You can't go on. You got to be tested constantly. And so what I see is you're developing a second class of citizens based in the same exact concept of the black codes, except for now it's going to be, if you don't agree, if you don't have a master code, if you don't agree with the pharmaceutical industry code, if you don't get all your shot records like a dog of a human being, of an adult, you can't go. All right, let me stop. But
it's true though. It's really true, because it's going to be connected to the technological advancements that are currently taking place right now, you know, and people don't have any wherewithal to even inform themselves now, because they just rely on the same mainstream media outlets that are diverting them from spending time thinking and pondering on the what ifs, or instead it's like this. Instead of putting, people say it's about hope. Oh, I have hope. I have hope in this, and I have hope in that, and I have hope in America. What does that mean? I have hope that America can be a better country than what it really is. What does that mean? Because if you look at the evidence, having hope in America just is a dead thought, because there is no hope in the operations that destroy the free roam ability that we were birthed with. You know what I mean? And that's for any government. It doesn't, people think it's about America or whatever. No, it's not about America. It's about any government that takes this position against the free roam and the free ability of the people to collectively organize and, you know, do the things that they want under their willpower to do so. And what you see in America is the authoritarian era, which was already in place, is showing its, I guess, head. You know how the turtle sticks its head out. It's slowly showing its head, and people are falling in line in the way that we need them to opt out. You know, we need people to opt out, not in a way that is negative, but in a way that is positive. Positively defy the standards and the status quo of what's coming out of the mainstream, and question everything. This is not, I don't think, like, you know, those people that are labeled like conspiracy theorists or, you know, anti-government or anti-this and anti-system of operation, I don't think these people are asking much to just say, question these agencies, question these entities that are telling you, question the entities that you're following the orders from. First, you got to ask yourself this: who is at the head of these agencies? I don't even know who's at the head of the agencies that are telling me to follow these orders. I just know first, it's like also like this: my governor is a Republican, my governor is a Democrat. I don't even like Democrat or Republican, but I'm following the orders of somebody. So basically, you're following the orders of people you don't even like. You're following the orders of people who have no cares about your way of living and how you function on an everyday basis. And it's like, this is what we're falling into. And we have to do something now to stop it, or our children are going to fall into it. Okay, bro. Thank you. Go. Thank you. Stop. Yo, who said you have gum? Who said you have gum? Give my kid, you know what I mean? But we got to do something for the children because it's like,
oh, wait, that's important. Who said he ain't had some gum?
I ain't say he always getting gum. You know, these kids
You
getting.
say his mom said he could have some gum.
Mom said he had some gum or something. I mean, you get one over on the
Mom said that?
kid. When you leave the kid, I mean, it is what it is. But this is the politics that you have to deal with. You know, we have to realize that I don't want the gum. No, the gum. Yes, you know, you have to meet in the middle sometimes. You know what I mean? Because it's for the sake of the young people. And that's what we have to do as adults. We have to find a way to meet in the middle of these political situations. Right now, we're caught up in the chaos where it's about fear. Fear, fear, fear. If you're not afraid, you ain't doing the things right. You better put a mask on to be afraid. If you don't want to wear the mask, you stupid. If you don't want, it's like this. If you go outside, people are saying you're causing other people to die. You're the reason why other people are going to die. If you just want to go outside and get some fresh air. If you want to go outside and be a part of nature, what we naturally are is human contact is essential to life.
Yeah.
Human contact is essential to life. Yeah, we're dealing with a virus or whatever the case is, but it's going to be more detrimental to our future.
Right.
As this instant, I guess I don't want to say instantly gratifying, but instantly, death. I don't know what to call it. You know what I mean? It's like epidemic. You know what I mean? It's epidemic that happened that fast, you know, but nothing should be happening this fast because they're making decisions based on unconclusive information. You know, the CDC is reporting something different than what the public health officials reporting in these hospitals and these states and everything. You know, the death rate in New Jersey where I'm at now is like, or the case rate wouldn't skyrocket. But at the beginning, it was different than the CDC because the CDC had some type of confirmed test and the state was just going off of symptom basis. So it's like, oh, you have some symptoms of this, so we're going to label you as having the virus. And we don't even want to go to the core test to show that maybe these symptoms are relatable to other symptoms of other diseases and illnesses, but we're going to just write because it's insurance scam. You know what I mean? When it comes to the insurance, they're going to pay off all these agencies and industries that, you know, can utilize the virus for a financial benefit. You know, it's not health. People think it's a health thing, but it is always going to be a health thing every day of our lives. It's a health thing. We need to be precautious about our health every day of our lives. It's not just about this virus. No, it's about every virus that's out there. All the things you eat. This is what pisses me off too, because like, if you're not worried about your health and what you eat, shut the hell up about the damn virus. So it's like me looking at myself realistically, I'm like, no, I'm not going to be hype about the virus, but then I'm not eating the right stuff every last second on my plate. You know, people say, oh, do things in moderation and this and that. Yeah, that's cool. But if you're telling people that crazily and you're like, no, don't go out. But you got a whole parlor full of scientific goodies. You know what I mean? Scientific food that's made in the lab. Processed good. You got a whole car, and you're telling people that the need to be. This is insanity at its finest. And this is what really gets me, G. The same people are going to tell you to vote 5 months later from now. The same they're going to tell you the need to vote, and Joe Biden and Donald Trump are going to be the candidates. So basically, you being thrown into a pit of fire now. And 5 months later, the same people are going to throw you in that same pit of fire because you believe differently.
Taking that kerosene and just dumping it all on your head, because these are the same people that subsidizing like GMO. They're subsidizing pesticides on your crops. They're subsidizing all the processed food. All the reasons you don't even have an immune system, that you're so scared, locked up in your house. These are the same people. And so when it's time for them to look out for you, instead of giving you land, some seeds, some chickens, something to allow you to live 40 acres and a John Deere tractor, what do? They write a stimulus bill where they give $2 trillion to their criminal friends on Wall Street and give you a tax credit. And I'm like, okay, like at one point, who was Maya Angelou, who told you when people show you who you are a slave, they don't give two damns about you, your grandmama, your kids, where you're going, where you die, if you get this. Believes them, right? And so something I wanted to say on that, you mentioned the like the other reason I don't watch the news is because they already got caught faking the statistics. Like I don't even care anymore. Like I get that, like, and this is factual. Even the White House said it took them 2 weeks to say it, but the doctors were whistleblowers. And there go Lori right there. The doctors and the nurses are whistleblowers. They literally started grassroots movements for 2 hashtags. Somebody post that hashtag if you remember what. One is Video My Hospital, and the other is something like Film My Hospital or something, right? Because the medical professionals were like, they'd go to work and I work at the, Martin Luther King Center, Save Your Life, something, whatever. And they go on home and they're watching on the news and like, oh, the Martin Luther King Center, whatever hospital is overwritten. There's no more rooms, they're running out of beds. And the nurse is sitting at home scratching her head like, I was just at work.
Where?
I fell asleep on my shift. Like, what am I? And so what they did, and this is what I'm saying, I love crowdsource information. I can't stand your mainstream media. Is they started that hashtag because they can't actually, they'll lose their jobs if they say half the things that they do, but they're saying, no, you need to look at the actual hospital, not because some of the pictures are fake, some of the videos are kind of made up, but this is not really what's going on.
Right.
And so, but they got caught because the first doctor, I think, who said it, I think it was Dr. Rashid Buttar, who said, well, wait a minute, they changed the coding for COVID, right? They changed the coding so that if you die of a heart attack, but you test for COVID, the primary cause of death has to be COVID. Right. And they will put the secondary as heart attack. And so you've got these statistics that jump through the roof of people who are dying of COVID. Meanwhile, it's lower than what it was last flu season on faked numbers. Right. And then part of it had to do with what you just said right there, which was the insurance companies have this thing called a pandemic clause. Because they got caught doing this, I think it was in Texas, where they said, their grandmother died, and the news was like, oh, she died of COVID. And the insurance companies don't pay out if it's a pandemic. And they say, oh no, she didn't die of that. She died of this. She had a long-term condition. She was dying anyway. And so I think the insurance companies, I mean, they're looting it. I think the political parties, I think now they realize that it's just a bad flu season. And because they realize that, they have to save face. Like, I don't think with Sweden calling them out, trolling them, what's his name? Knut Witkowski, the man who's saying that you literally made your flu season worse and more people are going to die because you are not going to get herd immunity because you locked down your country. You're supposed to let it spread through. The people with the strong immune systems learn to fight it off and you develop this herd immunity. Tell your grandparents to stay at home. Tell your people with immune challenges, wear a mask, stay at home, whatever. But you're supposed to let it go through the population, and that's how it builds up immunity. And he said, if we did this, it would already be gone. Because we didn't do it, it's going to last longer. More people are going to die. It gives the virus more chance to mutate, whatever, longevity. It means that in the fall, another one can come back. But then it'll be extremely dangerous for the people who don't get exposed at all because they were completely on shutdown, and it comes back next year. And so
it can be worse.
Right. And so the thing is that, I mean, we're still struggling with, even what a virus is. Like, listen to the different virologists talk about it. You don't even know really what a virus is per se. But people are listening to politicians and their mainstream media and organizations that are owned by Rockefellers and pharmaceutical companies as to what it's supposed to do. And they forget that the pharmaceutical company, it's based in you being sick. Right. They don't want you to be healthy. They need you to be sick. They don't make any money.
You can't profit off anybody that's healthy. And that's where we're at right now. If you got a whole bunch of people scared of a virus that's just probably the typical flu season virus, but in a way that you can create a pandemic about it, you can profit off of that, and we've seen it happen right in front of our face. The Wall Street crashing, what happened? They profited off of that. A lot of investors that knew how to maneuver in the markets as such they did, they profited, and a lot of people took hits. A lot of people took losses, average folks, and these billionaires and millionaires sometimes profited off of our loss, and what they're doing on the back end is profiting off of the insurance scam of it all, because the government basically wrote a blank check, not only for nonprofits and corporations and, certain businesses, but for states as well. They wrote a blank check for the states to damn near do everything we want based on the epidemic. So now you're going to see a lot of hospitals. How you've seen a lot of health centers and stuff popping up over the last 10 years based on the Obama care situation, where you're going to see a lot of new health centers popping up based on this coronavirus. So they're going to say, oh, you want to get your health concerns and matters, get it dealt with here. But these are the same people that don't really care about your true health. They don't really care about your internal immune system. They're going to, it's like a movie. It ain't good for you, but it makes you feel good, so you're going to still go watch it, or no, I shouldn't say like a movie. I'm trying to think, because it's like, it's not good for you, but you do it anyway. You know what I mean? Or I should say it's like eating ice cream. The ice cream's not good for you, but you love it and it makes you feel good inside, oozing up, but in the long term, it fucks your body up. You know what I mean? It can do bad things to your body. And this is the same thing for the health centers and stuff. It's instantly gratifying. And right in the minute, it's like, oh, I need to get a shot because I'm gonna be healthier. So instantly, you're like, oh, you're feeling healthy. You think you're actually healthy because you get the shot and it's inside you now. But long term, it could be more detrimental to your health than what you could ever expected. You know what I mean? And we're just uninformed population as it is anyway. And when you're an uninformed population, you're reliant on these outlets that can deceive you very easily. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have an organized set of independent journalists, because we need independent journalists. We don't need hand-picked media pundits, but independent journalists with their own independent experts. You know what I'm saying? We don't have independent experts outside of the mainstream that people can collectively go to and share and spread around to where it's trusted by the majority of people. The majority of people trust in mainstream media. The majority of people trust in the politician or whoever's the face of their state, city, township, or whatever the case is. They look up to these people because they feel inferior to them. So now when we put ourselves in the state of inferior thought to think these people are better than us and they have our better interests at heart, we subject ourselves to their rule. And we have to make ourselves superior to this virus, but not only this virus, but the operations going on around us. Yeah, many people have lifestyles to where they have to submit to the masters. The master you was talking about earlier. Everybody has to submit to some type of master in the economic system that we have in America. You contract to submit to these masters. So basically, what they know is this: you're not going to go against the grain, and what the grain is right now is your paycheck. You're not going to go against the industries and the companies that employ you for the sake and betterment of the whole people. So the hospital situation we have right now, we don't have enough independent individuals to go against the grain of these hospitals because they're employed by them and they don't want to lose the job, because many times not only will you lose your job, but the word can spread around of who to avoid. You know what I mean? They have enough networking scheme to go on to where you can have a stain on yourself for losing a job at the hospital, whatever the case is. You know what I mean? But we need a collective community that is not centered around conspiratorial things, but purposeful activities, and defying the system. Like, I don't want to say snitches. You know what I mean? You know how snitches is they got police have their CIs and their criminal informants, and they go into these neighborhoods and they infiltrate and they get the information and give it back to we need informants on the systematic issues. You know what I mean? Because we're not asking these people to call out these employers and these industries themselves. We're telling them to bring the information to us so we can call it out, because we're not going to be implicated. You know what I mean? We have to set up networks all throughout all the industries to where we have millions of independent people that are ready to provide information to the network of, aligned informational outlets to spread the information to all Americans, but not just all Americans. We need a world network right now, because we're under a new world order, more or less, because the things you see in America are going on around the world. There's shutdowns everywhere. All the damn governments are damn shut down from this damn virus. You know what I mean? But we don't have an organized population of people around the world to where we have our independent researchers, network outlets, and all these things to provide us with real-time information, as such as the organized outlets and entities that are controlled by other evil forces, I would say,
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna put it another way. I think we need snitches. I think we do. I think we're done. Like, I don't think it's like you said, like, I don't think we need people to come out and say it, but we need them to do what the nurses and doctors did. Like, whatever your industry is, when you see they're scamming, I mean, the best whistleblowers are the ones that stay and keep the job, and they're still internal, right? They're still double agents, but they're letting people know who are raising the word. And so I think that hashtag, film your hospital, was amazing. Most people aren't getting it, but I think it's in its infancy. And the reason why I say that is because we're on a plantation. We are 100% on a plantation. We were literally born into slavery. And until people accept that they weren't born in a free country, if you have economics, if you're born into debt, that's how they attach your shackles to you. Like how you mentioned with money, right? people are enslaved because they need that money to pay the mortgage, to buy food, to buy, you know, to buy a car, those things. That's how they got everybody. So, you know, they just don't use cotton. You know, they're not using whips. They're using prisons. They're not using, you know, resting on Saturdays and Jubilee and, you know, chitlins. Like, they're not using that, right? They're using economics. They're using debt to make you a slave. And so if we know that we are slaves and we're not free, then we can proceed on a plantation like we're not free. On a plantation, you need double agents and snitches and spies and people who get that when you're freed, when you're emancipated, don't try to go back on the plantation. And this is another reason why I kind of stand out by myself and I kind of avoid the nonsense, because we literally just watched the slaves be emancipated, not proclamated, but emancipated. Everybody's out of work for the most part. You're not essential. And they're begging to go back. They can't wait to get back. They can't wait to pick up that bag, get back on that plantation. I miss that cotton. I can't wait to get out in that hot sun and get to doing the accounting and get to doing like all the useless, inefficient jobs that we developed in a crony-based, debt-based ignorance of a slave plantation society. And you got people who begging, and this is what I'm saying. People, that's what I'm saying. That's why I stick to myself, because they say, oh, well, you know, if I was a slave back in the day, man, I'd have killed the master. I'm like, wait a minute, you just done got off the plantation and you begging to get back on it. Are you kidding me? You know?
But like, you would have killed the master back in the day.
You would have killed it. Like, oh, well, yeah, in history, they said that the slaves was released and somebody went back on the plantation. I wouldn't have done that. Brother, you just did that. You were literally watching master beg. Can we come back on that plantation? You didn't shut it down, and I don't even know what to do. I'm sitting at home watching Netflix and Hulu and spending time with my kids and my wife. I don't even know why I married her. I don't know why I had the kids. I don't even like movies. I just need to come back on the plantation so I can pick some of your cotton. Please, boss. And I'm just like, we have the, and this is the other thing I'm gonna say is I love the whole live stream community, because I hear more solutions here than anywhere else.
Okay.
I'm so sick of the problems. I'm so sick of the fear, right? From a media that is literally a for-profit institution, right? They make money on advertising. The only way you make money on advertising is to get people to tune back in. The only way to get them to tune back in is to scare the hell out of them. So you got CNN
making money.
Zombies walking in the street, and then
damn.
They got to be working in it, but the zombies eating people's heads, and then the CNN's got to jump in. But then now the zombies are thinking, and they're critical walking, and they're driving taxis. And it's like this drama show. It's like Days of Our Lives or Young and the Restless. They literally make money scaring the hell out of you with fear or sex or war or some other crazy nonsense. It's like we're somebody posted a meme that put it best. We are living in the worst episode of the Black Mirror I've ever seen in my life. It's the worst episode.
And there was some crazy episodes.
Oh,
and they crazy episodes of that show too.
That wasn't nearly as scary.
I looked at that and I'm like, man, this is us. This is exactly us. This is who we are. And I'm looking at that show, man. I'm like, man, this ain't nothing new to me. This is what people exactly what they love. You know what I mean? But it's real though. I was gonna say we're like prostitutes. You know what I mean? We getting pimped out. Once one company done with us, we getting pimped out to the other one. You know, we get devalued from this company. Your value comes from how good you are for your current pimp. If you're doing outstanding numbers from your current pimp, you got other pimps scouting you. You know what I mean? You know how it is. Your value going up, and the other pimps looking like, oh, we need that. I need this on my team. So they like, oh, well, bring them. We're going to court this one. You know what I mean? Bring them in. You know what I mean? But you got to pay the price. You know, you got to pay the price to be with pimp now. You know what I'm saying? So now when you think like, oh, I want to go to this other company, but the price you're going to have to pay is more slavery to master. You got to do more what master says. You know what I mean? So basically, it's like these pimps know exactly how to treat their prostitutes, which is us. You know what I mean? They know how to treat us. They know how to make us scared enough to where we don't want to leave. And it's sad to say, but that's what the prostitutes do. They get so scared, and this is a little bit extreme, but these women are scared to the point to where they don't want to leave. When they know it's in the best interest to leave, they're not leaving. And we know it's in our best interest to leave these outlets and these entities, but we're not leaving because we don't know what to do without them. That's what it comes down to. We haven't experienced life without them, and we are afraid to experience life without them. Many people can tell you how beautiful it is when they leave mainstream media, when they leave the reliance on government. They tell you how beautiful it is. They tell you how peaceful it is. They tell you how pleasant it is. But then the people in the system say, oh, well, I love the money and what it does for me. I love being the slave from 9 to 5 because from 6 to 9, I can do whatever I want and watch TV all I want, play this game all I want. I could do this and I could care less about all the other people in the world because I have my trick, I have my gadgets, I have my toys, I have all the things that I need to be socially distant. So social distance works for the majority of people who have all the gadgetry and all the things they need because they don't like dealing with the people they hate on a daily basis, which is one another. So this works for millions of people, unfortunately. And when you were talking about getting back to normalcy, we're not going to get back to the social normalcy that we need. We need social connectivity that we can talk face to face and understand and feel the energy. We don't got that right now because when we come out of this, the energy is going to be stale. It's going to be a lot of rioting because you know how people are going to be, oh, they got the virus, they might got the virus. Don't come near me. We can't be this close. We got to keep social distancing is a trick, or not a trick, but experiment. Let's
no, it ain't. No, it ain't.
I mean, but it's like
they social distanced from the African slaves. They social distanced.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And
be social distance from the lower class peons.
The Irish, the trailer parks. They said the homeless, like you mentioned when we first started. Social distance ain't nothing new.
It's nothing new. It's nothing new.
Flipping it into another package to make it acceptable to another group of people.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I see what you're saying.
But you explain the relationship between the abuser and the abused. You actually explain domestic violence. It's not just slavery, but it's that mindset that it's okay to be abused. I can't get away because I need this, and it makes me feel normal to not be able to pay my rent, to not be able to pay my mortgage, to barely make enough money, to barely afford healthcare. Like these things are normalized. They literally, the people feel like them being abused is normal life. And I don't think that's normal life. Like I said, I like solutions.
But that's the thing. And it's being passed down to our children. That's when it gets scared. This is being passed down to our children. So what we're telling the children is that they have to fall in line to the same standard that we fell in line with. We're telling the children we're not teaching them and raising them to defy the standard. We're teaching them to raise them to fall in line and adjust to the standard. This is what happened to our the generations, I guess to say the generational dysfunction has been passed down or whatever the case is, but the generational, the empowerment of generations is built within us, and we have to not only seek to empower ourselves as individuals in the face of such inferior standards, but we need to do this in the face of our youth. Because when I look at the kids all around, it's like, yo, the more the kids do this and the more they're not outside, we're going backwards. You know what I mean? We're not, people think we're progressing. Sure, we're progressing in certain aspects in this and that industry or that technological advancement, whatever, but we're regressing as a people, and we just need to work on that more.
Yeah. I'm gonna do this. I want to jump over and just look at some comments here because oh, Lord have mercy. Oh my goodness. Oh. Whoa, what is that? You scared me, man. Don't be. Oh my goodness.
That's nasty. He wearing this in public.
Yeah.
I'm not putting it on. Man. I don't want to put it on. You put it on.
Magically, it's okay to go outside in a ski mask, which is hilarious.
Like that. This is good for all the Anon people, though. The Anon people, this is good for them because they love masks anyway. You know what I mean? So they masked up all day and every day. You feel me? Out there in public, Yeah, all right, get out of here. Say what's up. Say something. Say something. Don't just do goofy stuff.
Yeah.
You just say,
hey, Carter.
Hi. Way more than that.
I'm gonna start hitting some comments though. It's interactive because you and I, we could do this for hours. We could go on and on.
So much.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we see a lot of the same things. But what Sister Jessie just said is that social distancing has been used, in communities, and it's forever.
Yeah.
And she's hitting something in that something I was watching the other day where it explained that we're not going to get back to normal. Like, first of all, we don't want to get back to normal. But the reality is, when you create so much fear of people, of other people, and they're avoiding each other. Like when I go to the grocery store now, everyone's doing like the psychological experiment that's happening in this country of doing massive social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
They're avoiding each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm noticing people are avoiding me. And so when's the next time people are going to go to like a sporting event? When are they going to go back to the movies? When are they ever going to go to a concert? Like we almost killed that.
That vibe is dead.
Right. Like, how are you going to, right? Like what they just did, they just played us into this nonsense. It's like, so the social credit scoring, right? Which is another Black Mirror episode. Okay. So in that episode, right, if you're not privileged enough in a certain category, you can't ride public transportation. You can't go to certain parts of town. So right now, the way that works out is if you haven't had your vaccine, if you don't have a mask, if you don't get tested on a daily basis, then you won't be allowed to get on public transportation. Like you won't be allowed to go to this event. You can't come in my store. You can't go to McDonald's. And so we're literally recycling the whole Black code. But what she said is spot on, which is that you're literally creating the perfect divide and conquer. You know how we talk about how you got, the religions are against each other, races and the political parties and all that nonsense. You're creating a society now where you've got, like, to the extreme, you will kill me if I get close to you because you might have a disease. So I'm okay with the police grabbing you, testing you, throwing you in prison, or shooting you because you might kill. And so, like, that's the perfect divide and conquer of a population.
Yeah, and that's why I was earlier saying it was kind of experimental because I guess they want to see how people will fall into the habits after this goes and passes. Will people choose to be socially distant on their own? Or do they have to, because I'm thinking that if they keep these social distance standards in place, it's not going to drive everybody crazy, but it's going to drive enough people crazy, but it's not just on one, it's on both sides. The people that are looking at the people that don't want a social distance are going to have some hate towards the people, and the people that do want a social distance, it's going to be just dysfunction all around because it's prohibiting our human connection. And our human connection it should be natural and free flowing. You know what I mean? Yes, it's sometimes predicted by circumstances externally or whatever the case is, but not like this. Not like this in the way we're all staying away from each other. And in the name of health, okay, in the name of health. And we've seen in the name of health, governments don't give a damn about us. So now all of a sudden, in the name of health, we're going to say that we need to be socially distant. We need to stay, we need to practice, do this, and that. But for the entirety of our lives, we've been under attack as far as our health is concerned. You know what I mean? And it's just eye-opening that people are okay with this. People are okay with this, and they're not frustrated with the overstepping of boundaries. Because one, this is where it really pisses me off. I come from a religious family, and to see how they're falling in line as well is really, really scary. Because it says this: if we trust governments instead of God, how far are we going back? How inferior have we become as a people? You know what I mean? Because God is supposed to be the above the top factor in our lives when it comes to how we live and who we live to be like, or whatever. God should be at the top of the mountain, but we've replaced God with government because we said, no, we're not going to trust in God and what he might have to say. We're not going to take our time. Like I said earlier, we need to be at calm and peaceful with ourselves in order to listen to that God-like mind and whatever the case is. But we're listening in the government. In our minds, it's just boggled with mainstream media outlet, government, politician, mainstream media, and we're wrestling with the words and thoughts that are coming from them, and we're not listening together in our own thoughts that come from a state of peace and come from a state of being present at oneself with the nature and the things around you. And it's scary because if they fall in line, there may never be any return. You know what I mean? Because when the church says in this Easter Sunday, you tell me Easter Sunday, the churches can't get together. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it just shows what's more to come.
A lot of things there, and Lori's getting on me, so I got to make sure I stay in the comments. We're going to try to do this. Let's try to give each comment like 2 minutes or something. But somebody just mentioned that, which was name one. I think Wendy said it. Name one thing that the government gave, what a power that they gave back. Right. Wendy's speaking truth to power, and she's speaking principles to facts, right? Because they don't give anything back. No Cliff just said it another way right there. If you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. That's just what they do. And then you fed in on that, where you basically said that, you know, the government is their God. That's why I'm saying it's their master. People don't like to say it, but it's true, because you now have a government that says, no, you can't go to church. And what do most people do? They don't go to church. So wait a minute, hang on, wait, let me see. Now, God didn't said that you could dance with snakes, you can do all this stuff.
All this magical stuff.
Take care of you got faith, and you're going to be good. You just pray on some, get some chips and some juice. And I'm not trying to make fun of nobody's faith. I grew up in the church too. Really? I used to be a youth pastor. So no, I'm not. I believe in God. Okay. The government is not my God. Yeah, right. Political parties, politicians, and I'm not even sure the scriptures are exactly how they were supposed to be. A lot of modifications have happened over time. Of course. Yeah. But I know this. I know that I have faith enough to go out in the street. I know I have faith that I go to a grocery store without a mask. I eat the things that God told me to, which was from a Garden of Eden, natural and healthy and organic as possible. But, you know, to your point and to their point, if you give God or you give government the authority over your God, you give government the authority over your children, you give government, which is still us, the authority to tell you you need to stay in your room or stay in your house, it ain't never going to give it back. Because it is a system based in power. They're not evil. They're not bad people. They're not anything, not good people. They're just people like us in a system that requires more power. Right. Period. They're going to take it. As long as you agree with it, they're going to take it. And so we have to stop with the fear.
Yeah, and that's what's hard to do, because it's like we're raised on fear. You know, and from the moment we come out the womb, it's like we're losing all of our natural senses. And we come out the womb with our natural ability to just exist. And as we grow into this current state of society, we lose our natural connection with our existence. And it starts with all the little things, like, you know, even from the little toys that kids play with. You know, they say it's good. Oh, it's educational and this and that, and it helps and this and that. But the mamas and the daddies is putting the damn telephones and the screens in front of the kids' faces before they can, you know, function and learn the cognitive. Before their cognition is fully developed, they got the tablets and screens in their hand, you know. And we're losing our connection to nature, but we're losing our understanding of how we're all connected as one. And people don't realize that we need to be connected as one in activity that seeks to better and distance ourselves from governments that seek to destroy our human spirit, but also for the educational aspect of our young children. We can't have them educated as such as we were educated. We have to have them educated at a higher level. We can't say that, oh, the one plus one in first grade is all you're good for. Well, you're not good for anything but A, baby, B, C. Oh, you're so smart. And oh my God, look, honey, did you see him? He said it's A. He said mama, dad. And we set the bar so low for our children, and it's disgusting. Because we need to start setting the bar higher for our children, so that way they can operate with the functionality that they need in these times. The functionality that they need is not going to come from entertaining themselves on screens and the googly eyed stuff that happens on the phones and the YouTube channel. Because, you know, they got everything for kids nowadays. And fast rate, that we had certain cartoons, but we didn't have as much as these kids have. But what it's doing is polluting, or it's not polluting, it's polluting their mind, but it's disconnecting them from their natural awareness. And if they're disconnected from their natural awareness, they're going to rely on that systematic awareness the same way we are relying on the systematic awareness. You know, we can get all the things we need in the system, but we have to subject ourselves to the master. And people agree to subject themselves to the master. So now you have to be expecting times like these. I'm expecting this stuff to go down like this, because I understand what type of entities we're dealing with, especially when it comes to, you know, the history of how these same, I don't want to say same people, because not the same people, it's new people that have been born, but these same corporations and agencies function off of the same type of strategies, you know what I mean? But it's just modernized. So it's like we still function off of the division and we still function off of division, socially, racially, economically. Everything that we do in our lives is based on the divided state that we're in. So for me, as a black man in America, I have to maneuver as a black man in America. But white people in America is not trying to come and meet me in my state of being a black man in America, because they got their own issues to deal with. You know what I mean? They're going through their own problems. And we have to understand that we all are going through much of the same common problems, but it's all coming from the same systematic operations that has put us in the phase of inferiority, you know, because we're all great in our own right. There's no white or black in nature's eyes. You know, there's a common people that bleed the same, that breathe the same, take in all the same scientific or whatever the case, natural stuff that we have. We all take in the same thing, but information is where we're being misled, you know, the way we're informed. So for me, as being the black man, I'm afford to look at white people with no trust. Don't trust white folks. And this is what I'm talking about being raised with, you know, don't trust white folks, don't trust white folks, but trust in the government. Follow the government rules. You better follow, but don't trust these people. Don't trust these people, but follow the government. We believe in religion. We believe in religion. We believe in, but the government is money is number one. Money is number one. And it's like we've all been polluted in our minds in some way, you know, and in this destructive state of thought that we're currently residing in, we're always going to fight with each other. You know what I mean? We're always going to strife with each other over the political matters that we need to be organized around, you know, because the perception is determined by your elementary informational awareness. You know, I'm saying like when you're from 5 to 10, more or less, your perception in life is being, you know, aligned with the things that you see around your environment. So every black person is not the same. Every white person is not the same. There's no black, there's no white. Black people is going through some of the same stuff white people experience. White people experience some of the same stuff black people experience, because there's no difference in the eyes of the system. It ain't no difference. You know what I mean? It's no, you a number.
Let me hit something real quick. Chelsea's talking about, so fear kills, right? Or stress creates disease. And she's right about that, right? So in terms of, you know, because I want to make sure we focus on the room a little bit. I promise we're going to read
about that, yeah.
Like I said, you and I, we could do this all day.
Let's go.
So, I mean, there are a couple of things. I mean, the first thing, right, Chelsea, is fear. You can't have any fear. You have to live like you are a god. You got to live like you're immune to the nonsense, the bull. You got to walk away from it. Absolutely.
Look, Kim says a good comment also. Kim Jackson, hey Kim, she says, we've been living for profit for so long when we should have been living for the highest good of all the whole time. And that's really where it's at right there. That's where it's at right there. We don't educate the children to live for the highest good. They educate the children to get ready to compete.
Yes.
Okay? And that's where it starts at. When we're educating our children to get ready to compete instead of cooperate for the greater good of all, that's where the dysfunction works. Because now you're saying to these kids that, hey, if you're not the best, you don't get what the best get. You get what if you don't win, you don't get what the winner gets. You get what the loser gets. And this is something that is dysfunctional in the young and growing mind, because they're like, hey, I want to get a trophy too, Mom. I want a trophy too. All the kids should get trophies for participating in sports. All the children should get A's for effort in class. You know what I'm saying? But no, this is not what this and the adults comply. Oh, Johnny, you did bad in school. You're not good enough. I'm not proud of you, son. Your sister got straight A's in the honor roll. I'm not proud of you. You must be a bad student. You know what I mean? We have to reach for the greater good of all. It starts with education.
Let's put those two comments together. So between Kim and Ivana right after her said participation awards, right?
Okay, right.
And so when I see that and you put the two of those together, you know, I was raised that competition is a good thing. And I agree. And this is usually where this debate goes between say, oh, well, you got to have competition because it evolves and brings forward society, blah, 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 blah. And I agree with that. I just changed my perspective on that. There's a difference in being in conflict because viruses are coming to kill you. Asteroids, super volcanoes, something on this planet, pole shifts, something is always trying to kill off the human race, right? We can be in competition for life. We don't have to be in competition with each other, right? There's a difference between being in competition with your family and being in competition with other things that are always trying to kill you anyway. And what we have to do, I think, as a society is evolve forward, and let's be in competition with the things that are trying to kill us, not with each other, because there's never really a true equal competition. So you get better grades in school. So does that mean that you should have a more comfy life? Does that mean that you should have better health care? Does that mean that you should have the things that every child on this planet should get just for being born here? Because you were born and you only have one leg. Does that mean that you shouldn't have a track award? Like, I think there's a lot of things. There's never an equal competition. I think if we do what you said and put together those two comments, take the profit out the model, throw out the ignorance that that's socialism or communism or capitalism, and just say, look, a child born on earth gets the right to have an award for participation. And whatever that participation is, that's up to you. You know, we don't really need human beings to be slaves to debt anymore. We don't have to make them pay a birth penalty for being born on earth. We have automation and robotics to take care of all of that, you know?
Yeah.
So
but the thing is, the automation and robots damn near always fall into the hands of the wrong people. You know what I mean? And that's what's always killing us. You know, it's always falling into the hands of these dudes that just want to do just crazy things with. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's what we're working with right now. The technology, even though it's in our hands, we are not working with the minds to utilize it for the right reasons, you know? And this is what our children are going to do. They're going to use it for all the wrong reasons as well if we don't start to re-educate them now, you know? And it starts with, I guess, us working together, try to find out the proper narratives, not to be too invasive, because you know it's really invasive when you're trying to tell other people or trying to give advice about other people and their parenting and their kids and stuff like that. You know, people ain't with them. You know, they ain't trying to hear what your thoughts are on their parenting, but they will comply to the school system and what their thoughts are for their children. But they don't realize that these people actually having your better interest at heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the struggle.
That's master. That's that authority figure. If it's higher than you on the pyramid, you're supposed to shut up and listen because this is the authority. Which I want to hit another comment right here, which was Genie. So talking about solutions, like what do we do in terms of all the fear? Well, if you're scared of the virus, the first thing you probably should do is go find out what a virus is. I've come to find out, my friends have educated me. I never knew what a virus is, Chris. I'm damn near 29 years old today, and I've never known what a damn virus was. I have media that lies to me. I've known doctors. They have no idea. Listen to a virologist. So for the first thing, before you want to be scared of a virus, step one is to find out what it is. Dr. Rashid Buttar, he's a great one to listen to. These people right here will post links for you if you've never heard of him. If you want to know about the shutdown, if it was a good idea, look at his name is Newt Witkowski. He's from Sweden. He's been telling people about how because we did this, we've made our population more susceptible. Like there's a lot of solutions. So, okay, well, what do we do if we need to get out of capitalism, communism, and socialism and go to a resource-based economy? Zeitgeist movement, Venus Project, Ubuntu movement. There are a million other solutions we can go to. But step one is get rid of fear. And I'm going to hit Jeannie's comment right there, which is go listen to a doctor who's turned against a conflict-based industry that actually did this to you, that made you more susceptible to this.
Right. And people have to understand something as well. This is history repeating itself all over again, because back in the day, back in the times where we weren't even around, there were independent scientists who tried to alarm and alert the public as well. But their pool just wasn't strong enough. You know what I mean? Because they were going against agents that were already established within the mainstream audience and gained their trust. So now when they're trying to tell people that they need to pay attention and be aware of these, you know, experts or chosen selected experts, if you must, they fell on deaf ears. You know, they didn't fall in the ears of enough people to actually, you know, do anything about it. And that's kind of what's happening right now. These doctors and these independent researchers and others in their profession are trying to alarm the people, but they don't have enough, I don't say networking, but they don't have enough resources to send their message or the stuff out there on Facebook, social media, the internet, because it's all damn near controlled. You know what I mean? So it's like when you're an independent researcher, you're an independent thinker, you're in the midst of controlled opposition. You know, everywhere you go on the internet is controlled opposition, because much of the information that is ready to be available is stuff that is going to confuse you and distract you from the source of where you really need to be going. You know what I mean? And that's a thing that really hurts us as a population right now. People don't have the patience to deal with that. You know what I mean? It's like the virus. You know how the computer viruses be, not the viruses, but the computer things, the pop-ups come on the computer. People ain't got time to deal with that. They got to close out the boxes, a million boxes popping up here and there and there and there because their internet is not as secure and they don't have the security fighting the pop-ups, whatever the case is. People don't have the patience to deal with this stuff. You know, go the extra mile to get the information, go the extra mile to become aware about this issue or that issue. But not only that, but deal with the criticism that it's faced after you inform yourself and then start to talk to the rest of the population, because that's where it really hits home. You start to see that people are cutting you off. You know what I mean? People is not really respecting your word or valuing your words anymore because they think you're just crazy. You know what I mean? And this is something that we have to work on as a people. We have to get over the hump of information first, I think.
Yeah, I read Ivana's comment wrong. She said I misunderstood her that it was she's against the participation rule.
Right.
I'm for it, and the reason I'm for it is because I don't think there's ever an equal competition in anything.
Okay.
And if we're going to live on this planet and be as most efficient as possible, then the best software engineers need to be writing the software. The best runners need to be running. The best colorers need to be coloring. The best musicians need to be the musicians. And I think that, you know, you can still have awards handed out, but we can get past the whole loser model, like the whole concept of you're the winner, you're the loser. Yeah. You know, it can be that, hey, this is what you excel at. That's the field you go into. And so, I mean, there's something to competition, but we don't have to be in competition with each other is the majority of the point. We have enough things that are trying to break us down. We don't have to be in competition with each other.
See, it's really hard, you know, because the way I get the competition from and the way I look at it and view it is like, I understand competition and how it can be good in developing people to, you know, gain the desire to do better or be better, you know what I mean, individually or collectively as a team, you know, but in the face of the facts that people evolve differently, people grow differently, we're putting young children in a competition with their peers, and their peers are all on different levels. You know what I mean? So now you're saying that you have to keep up with your. We're telling the children that advance and, you know, understand and process information differently and process information with different speed, different awareness, different capabilities, or whatever the case is. You're telling these kids that they need to progress at the same level. You know, this is with the competition I'm talking about. This is wrong, you know, because it's third graders that are just as capable as eighth graders, but they can't get up to the eighth grade level because the status quo says, oh, you need to stay in this third grade rate. And when you get into high school, you can take those Excel classes or whatever, or the private schools that they have to where you can go from third to sixth grade and just be with a bunch of older folks or older individuals or whatever the case is, you know what I mean? But the way it is set up is detrimental to the progress of our youth, because when we need to be doing what we can to encourage them to grow at their own pace, we're telling them to grow at the rate of the standard which has been set by a bunch of people who only are requiring them to, you know, I think the education system is inferior anyway, you know what I mean? Because it's a bunch of repetitiveness that is circling around the same mental awareness, you know, like the ABCs and the English math, you know, English math. You can teach kids English and math all damn day, you know what I mean? Really early on in life. But then there's other stuff like you're throwing history in there, but not throwing history in there in the way that is unbiased. You're throwing history at them in the way that is, oh, well, this is American history, and this is what you need to understand first and foremost. So there's a competition for which information gets put into the mind from the higher level. You know, it's a trickle down competition. So it's like, before you can see the world for the world as it is, you need to see the world through the eyes of a young American.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and this is why it's not education. And I grew up in a family of teachers. Unfortunately, just hearing them go back and forth was one thing I always appreciate about you, is you let your kid hear, you let Carter hear you having these discussions, because it's important. As kids, I remember picking up from the old folks what they were talking about. You will have to throw a couple rocks to hit a teacher that actually believes in the education system anymore, right? The vast majority that believed in it left. Now, if you work in the Department of Education, you believe it, but it's indoctrination. The first step is to teach the child how to be a bigot, and that's a mistake. The first step is to say you're divided from the rest of the world. You're better than the rest of the world. You're an American, you're a Briton, you're Chinese, you're Russian, you're black, you're white, you're Christian, you're better than everybody else. Now go out there and be a good person. And the world doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Like, that's, to me, that's not education. I'm a big believer in just breaking the whole system down. Get rid of the Department of Education. Let teachers go back to being teachers. Let principals go back to being principals, school marms, all of that. But keeping a Department of Education is the dumbest thing that we could ever do. And the teachers and they all talk about it. The teachers need to make their own lesson plans. They need to teach. The people who are passionate should be teaching the children, not people who got nothing else to do and they can't make it as an accountant, but they live in a conflict-based society where they got to make money. So they'll go figure they'll teach some kids that they don't.
You know, there's a lot of time teaching kids. You know, my husband makes quite enough money. I'll teach these kids. Well, yeah, I got a degree. I'll teach these kids. You know what I mean? I love America. I love I want to teach these kids how to be young and patriotic, just like me.
But they're teaching what Tony just said right there. You're teaching them to be young Romans and young Babylonians. That's what you are. You're not raising your child to be anything decent. You're raising them to be a minion of the empire. Right. You're teaching them, you're handing them that master-slave relationship where, yeah, you can be your own person. You can have your own critical thought as long as you think within the scope of this particular plantation and master. And we got to evolve beyond that. We have to evolve way beyond that. And I think right now is the present time that we can do that. The world literally is collapsing in. Who knows what is really going on, but we as a people have a chance to actually say, you know what, we're going to use this as a paradigm shift. We realized the old system didn't work. How we got here was letting corporations dictate the government what they can and can't do. And we realized that model doesn't work. So we're not going to do that no more. We're going to go a completely different direction, you know, because now everybody every day has one more thing in common, and that is you're locked in your house like you are a child for one more day. And every day you're developing more and more people who who are seeing that we're being treated like slaves. Yeah. That's what profit does.
Teresa, I think that says Teresa Nee says education has been to make obedient workers. That paradigm has to change. And that's completely what education does. It makes obedient workers because, for one, your investment is part of that obedience. You know, you've essentially invested so much time into your education. You know what I mean? So it's like you're not going to turn your back on that accomplishment and say, look, I'm not into the system of operations. You know what I mean? No, you graduated college because you're enough comfortable with the systematic operations to be a part of it, you know. And we need, like we said earlier, we need people to be informants against the protocols that are going on. So we need people within the teachers unions. You know, this is where it gets tricky at, because you got people that are getting into those cliques that they get those amenities in. You know, the teachers union, they got all these different type of unions for all these industries, but we need people in the teachers union to come together and say that they want a new curriculum for the students. You know what I mean? This can't just come from the words of the people and the frustrated parents. This has to come from the teachers themselves as well, you know, because they have to understand that the people are standing behind them in the face of the board of Department of Education and all their gangsters and mob-like folks. We're standing behind them because we want our children to be educated properly. You know, we want our children to be educated without bias, you know, because that's what's taking place is all the information that's coming is bias. You know, you have to believe this way. You don't think for yourself. Don't think, because I know from my own experience, we make it seem like children don't think right. You know, we make it seem like they're not good. They don't think good enough, you know, but we have to allow them to grow into their own and flourish. So in order to do that, we have to nurture them like a plant. You don't tell the plant what to do. No, you understand what the plant needs and you cater to that plant's needs. And you understand that this plant doesn't need the same thing as that plant. This seed needs something different than this seed. And we understand the needs of those seeds and we cater to that. We don't tell all the seeds like, all right, little seedlings, all right, y'all little seedlings, this is one program and y'all all going to follow this one program. So then you know what happens when all the seeds are on one program, the same watering cycle, the same sun cycle, and the same cycle of this and that. Some grow and some don't grow. and you're going to take a lot of losses because you're giving this all the different seeds the same type of nurturing when they need different nurturing. You know what I mean? They all need different, but you're saying to the young black kid that he needs the same education as a young white kid. When you don't realize that the systematic craziness that the young white kid got to deal with is something different than the black kid got to do with. So you have to prepare this young black kid differently than you prepare the young white kid. And it's sad to say this, but this is just the way it is right now. But you have to apply that difference in the core purpose about being passionate about the betterment of all the children. You don't say it to where it's like, oh, you have to fall in line. And if you don't fall in line, you're out of order and insubordinate and you're bad. You're bad. So this is that bad and good shit start. The other kids look around saying, Jimmy's bad. Jimmy always gets in trouble. So I'm glad I fall in line. I'm not like Jimmy. I'm a little bad, but I'm not like Jimmy. You know what I mean? And we need the kids to realize that they're not in the competition in essence of the future of what's going on. They're in the cooperation, but they're also learning at, I don't want to say learning at, but learning in a cooperative manner. You know, we need our kids to learn it. So now the person that's the smartest in class, they're going to stoop down to the level of the one that's not the smartest in the class and be right there to help in the ways that the teacher might not be able to help, because, you know, kids learn from each other more freely than they learn from the teacher because they're on the same level. So now you've got a kid teaching you something that you might not know. You're listening to him more because you're like, all right, he's not screaming or he's not talking at me, talking down to me. He's talking with me, sharing with me. And this is how we are on our level. When you're in certain circles and everything, you know, you get around rich folks and they talk at you. You know, you're like, oh, you're talking at me, you this and you that, and you like the comfort of being around your friends because they talk with you and they're cool, they're free flowing, everything's on chill cycle. And this is how it is with our children. They're being raised in such divided ways that is detrimental to our progress as a people, as a whole society. And it won't change until we do something about the infrastructure of the education system. But we have to come together, you know?
But it's the trellis thing. Like I like the references in the room to gardening, right? Mm-hmm. And the ones that you made, which is growing a child like a trellis. Right? Mm-hmm. When you have government, which is a for-profit corporation, which I try to explain to people what the Act of 1871 is, and people still struggle with that concept. But literally, the Act of 1871 made your government a for-profit corporation. And so, but it's structured to look like the republic. It was structured to look like the government, where you have a president, a Congress, a Senate. Yeah. And these are laws that people don't like to read because it gives them an ugly vision of the world. But it's significant because when your government is a for-profit corporation, not actually a government, it's going to do what makes money. And it's not that it's bad. It's just that that's its function, right? No longer are your politicians providing you a service. They're just doing a job. Yeah. And the job is to make the corporation money. And so how that relates to education is, so what do you teach children in school? Well, you get rid of the arts, you get rid of music, you get rid of creativity and everything, because the only thing that's important is what makes that corporation money. And right now, our big businesses are what? War, technology, chemicals, big pharma, like things like that. So it's math, science, English, the things that drive children into the fields that profit deems. So you don't have children who are like, I like to do this, so I'm gonna go do this. It's like, no, in order to survive, I have to go in this career work, I have to go here, or even at the younger age where math, science, English, whatever, it pushes them into places that make more profit, which in the long run gains more power and more money for that government or corporation. Right. And that's the mistake. This is how we know that we don't value children as a society. We value power and money as a society.
And to just go along with that point, because I gotta go right now, but that's why you don't see millions of gardeners. You don't see millions of children coming out of school ready to be gardeners, do you? You don't see millions of children coming out of school ready to be caretakers of the elderly. You don't have dirty. They don't want to be caretakers of the elderly. I don't want to caretaker. No, you see them. I want some chicken. I want money, and I want to get this money as the least way possible ever. You know what I mean? And that's what it comes down to. We got to fight for our children, but we got to fight for the people alive now. You know what I mean? The people we got in now, and it's an everyday fight. Basically, we got to just keep fighting together, keep the fight alive, and just keep the faith in the fight. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's what it comes down to. I mean, we do have to evolve. Now's a great time where people can spend their time off from the plantation, educating themselves, learning, finding out, well, how did we get here? Not sitting around watching TV, drumming up the fear, getting ready to go back into the plantation, but to build something different, to require something different of government so that we don't end up back here again. Otherwise, this cycle is just going to repeat and come right back around the next time around.
Right.
All right, I got to get going myself,
Yeah,
brother.
yeah.
So,
We got to connect again. We have to do this again.
we have to do it again. You ain't got nothing to do. You ain't got nothing. I mean,
We in the house now. We socially did. We're gonna be social. We're gonna be distant. That's all. You know what I mean? That's all we gotta do. But just shout out to all the people. Y'all just stay safe, but also stay aware, stay connected, stay with the mind of love and peace. You know, stay calm in these times. But you know, just stay faithful that everything's going to be all right. You know what I mean? Because we all we got. We work together. We here together. And that's what we gotta rely on one another. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Got to bring the people back together, and we can build a world that we should have for these kids. But we got to do what we talk about. We like to say that we put our children first, which means we got to start doing that. I appreciate the conversation. We should come back and do this again very soon. I thank you for joining, and let's all go out and do something productive.
Peace.
All right, brother. Love you. Take care.